Yes, it's so personal.
It's called Bhakti Personalism. Haribo. So Ekabir will chant very briefly, Jai Radha Madhav, and then his our beloved Adipurusha Prabhu is not here.
He's watching on YouTube. He's here.
He's here. Oh, we're so sad.
On YouTube. Yeah. He'll be back.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari
Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Giridharadhari Jaya Giridharadhari
Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Giridhara Jaya Giridhara Jaya Jaya
Yamuna Chari Jaya Kunjabihari Jaya Kunjabihari Gopijana
Vallabha Jaya
Jaya Kunjabihari Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Mridara Radha Mridara Radhe Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Srila Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Gurudev, Gurudev, Gurudev. Jayam Vishnu Padam, Sri Bhattacharya, so Srima, Divine Grace of Vaichanavrinda Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnu Padam, Sri Bhattacharya, so Srima, Divine Grace. Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Ki Jai.
Anakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Principal Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasani Gaura Bhakti Vrinda Ki, Shri Radha Muladhar Ki
Jai.
Gwanditai Ki Radha Ki
Haribo.
Prabhupada Ki.
Okay, so we have 20 minutes
Okay.
to do our class. Okay, so we're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 4, text number 4. And I will do the Sanskrit. Yad kaya esha bhuvana traya sanishviso yashyendriya isthanu britam ubhayendriyani jnanam swata sash swasanato balam ojaiha sattva dibhi layo bhava adikarta. And the synonyms, yatkaye, within whose body, eshaha, this, bhuvana traya, of the three planetary systems making up the universe, sani vishaha, the elaborate arrangement, yashya, of whom, indriyahi, by the senses, tanubritam, of the embodied living beings, ubaya indriyani, both kind of senses, knowledge acquiring and active, jnanam, knowledge, swataha, directly from him, swashanataha, from his breathing, balam, strength of the body, ojaha, strength of the senses, iha, activities, sattva adibihi, by nature, modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Sthiti, in maintenance. Laya, destruction. Ubhave, and creation. Adikarta, the original doer. Do you want to read the translation and go for it? Oh, actually, we should pull this up, right? Okay, can we pull this up? Yeah, sorry. Okay, here we go. Do you want to read it? Okay.
Okay. Within his body, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Within his body are elaborately arranged the three planetary systems of this universe. His transcendental senses generate the knowledge acquiring and active senses of all embodied beings. His consciousness generates conditioned knowledge, and his powerful breathing produces the bodily strength, sensory power, and conditioned activities of the embodied souls. He is the prime mover through the agency of the material modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. And thus the universe is created, maintained, and annihilated. Purport. When a conditioned soul becomes completely exhausted by his strenuous activities, or when he is overcome by disease, death, or fear, he loses all power to manifest practical knowledge or activities. Thus, we should understand that independent of the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we can neither work nor cultivate knowledge. By the mercy of the personality of Godhead, the conditioned soul acquires a material body. which is a perverted reflection of the unlimited spiritual body of the Lord. Thus, the living entity engages in ignorant materialistic activities for society, friendship, and love. But the entire program suddenly vanishes with the unforeseen dissolution of the material body. Similarly, our material knowledge is always subject to become null and void within an instant, since the material nature is itself constantly changing. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the prime mover behind the birth, maintenance, and destruction of the universe. And the living entity should try to understand that personality of Godhead has given him so much facility for illusion. The personality of Godhead actually wants the conditioned soul to surrender to at the Lord's side. The conditioned soul should reason, if the Lord has given me so much facility to merge into ignorance, surely he will give even more facility to come out of this ignorance if I humbly follow his direction without foolish speculations. This verse describes Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, the second phase of the Purusha incarnations of the Lord. This Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, who is glorified in the Purusha Shukta prayers, expands himself as the supersoul to enter the heart of every living being through chanting the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Even in this degraded age, one can find the Supreme Lord within one's heart. The Lord is a person as much as we are, but he is unlimited. Still, a personal, loving relationship exists between the tiny living entity and the unlimited Supreme Lord. In consideration of this personal relationship, Bhakti Yoga is the only suitable process by which to come to the ultimate understanding of our constitutional position as eternal servants of the Supreme Lord.
Okay, we want to come out of here. Stop share. Okay, we're just gonna stop share. Here. Sorry, stop share. Okay. Maybe we'll do it short, a short part of it. Short. Oh my God, I have to write this. Yeah, check you on the time. Yeah, that's my Shri Guru Namaha. Visuddhaya Krishna Prasad today. Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharya. Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pasatya Deshakara. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Haribol. Dear friends, thank you all so much from our hearts that you made the time, your precious time, to be here with us this morning. We are deeply, deeply grateful. So Ekabir is going to start us just sharing a little bit about this verse, and then we'll share a little bit about how this verse connects with our trip to India.
The time goes by so fast.
Yes. So,
okay. Yeah. All right. So let's see. This translation, I won't go through the translation again. This verse, this is actually a wonderful verse.
It's a beautiful verse. This whole chapter is really amazing. Talking about Krishna and how he does things for us. Isn't it beautiful?
Yes. And there's several different points that could be emphasized in this text. However, what we'll try to address this morning would be Garbhodakashayi Vishnu in the mood of his service as the doer, and as is elaborated here in the translation, and how he elaborately makes arrangements these, yeah, elaborate arrangements, and then also why does he actually make these arrangements, and how can we actually be lifted out of this current predicament that we find ourselves? So let's see. In the translation, it's expressed that the Lord makes these elaborate arrangements of the three planetary systems. And in these three planetary systems, of course, the upper, lower, and middle, usually referred to as the Triloka, um, is also expanded into 14 different levels, and then that's broken down even more so. And there's different activities in each of these different planetary systems. And of course, above, which is 1/4 of the Sandini potency, and then you have the 3/4, which is a spiritual world, which also includes the marginal realm of Maheshdam, the abode of Mahesh, Lord Shiva. And so this is quite, as I said, in the
Elaborate.
text, elaborate.
Elaborate.
So 7 upper and 7 lower. And so it's quite elaborate. Why so elaborate? Govardhan Vishnu, why is it so elaborate? And then the other part of the translation talks about his transcendental senses, and how from his transcendental senses come the senses of the living entities, and their constant, his consciousness generates the conditioned knowledge of the living entities, and then his breathing produces bodily strength and the sensory power of the living entities, all of this, and he's the prime mover through the agency of the modes of material nature. So not only is he the creator of these different universes, but he's also the potency in the living entities and the actual doer, and that's emphasized in the Bhagavad Gita, 327, where Krishna expresses that the spirit soul bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities when these activities are actually carried out by the three modes of material nature. And so Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, he actually expresses how there are actually three doers. Of course, Krishna is the primary doer in the form of, in this case, Govardhan Vishnu is expressed. But then it's also the three modes of material nature, and then also the living entity. And how is a living entity a doer in this case? By desire. So the living entity is doer by desire. And it's also expressed in Gita, the verses chapter 13, 20 through 23, where Krishna is expressing that nature is said to be the cause of all material cause and effects, whereas the living entity is the cause of various sufferings and enjoyments in the worlds. And how is that the living entity is the cause of various sufferings and enjoyment? It's based upon the attachment and the consciousness of those living entities. So we're running out of time here. So, but anyway, why is it so elaborately arranged? It's such an elaborate situation. Why does it go through so much? Why is it so intricate? So many different planetary systems. Whereas there's 8,400,000 different forms of living entities. And this is so elaborately arranged because of the desires of the living entity. All of these desires that the living entity has, and Krishna actually fulfills these desires. We oftentimes say that Krishna has a very difficult service. He fulfills the desires of everyone, his devotees, the theists, and he also fulfills the desires for the atheists. And so there was Ananda Bihari, I'm sure you remember this pastime with your Guru Maharaj, Satyanandana Maharaj. He was sharing on one occasion how he was with Srila Prabhupada. He was a young teenager at the time. And he had an opportunity to have darshan with Srila Prabhupada. And he asked Srila Prabhupada, he said, Krishna wants us to come back home and we want to go to Krishna. Why does he create this Maya that is so difficult to actually overcome? And he said that Srila Prabhupada kind of raised up in his seat and his eyes got big and bold. And he said, Krishna created this Maya. You created this Maya. And of course, we have to understand it within the context, because of course Krishna says in the Gita that it's Mama Maya. This is his Maya, and then it's under his direction. However, Srila Prabhupada wanted to emphasize to all of us that the tendency of a conditioned soul is to actually not take responsibility for our own actions, our own particular desires. And we tend to want to blame others. And ultimately, when we really are sincere and honest about this mindset, we can see that ultimately we're really blaming the Lord. We're blaming Krishna. And take it back to the Lord. And so we created this situation. And there's this one sweet line in here that we'll just speak about, and then we'll let Rajalila go ahead and speak about other qualities of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. And that is that if the Lord has given me so much facility to merge into ignorance, surely he will give me even more facility to come out of this ignorance if I humbly follow his direction without foolish speculations. And this, of course, again, emphasizes our desire. So we have to purify our desire or design our desire. Rajalila can go into that a little bit more.
Designing our desire?
How we can actually do that by
Well,
the process.
yeah, as Grihastas, we get this beautiful, beautiful opportunity to learn how to design our desires, to understand that everything that we do is actually for the pleasure of the Lord. Everything that goes on in our lives is for the pleasure of the Lord. And so there's some young children on this call that I hear every day when I listen to the classes. They chant the holy names of the Lord every morning. And it's just the most beautiful, one of the most beautiful parts. Of course, hearing the speakers is so wonderful, but just hearing these children so enthusiastically and lovingly call Krishna's names. Why do we do that? Why do we become so absorbed when we hear Krishna's names and we want to share Krishna's names? And why is that? And should we know something about this person that's giving us the holy names? That this person actually is so kind and so merciful that this person, Krishna, expands. One of them is his holy names, and other is into these different Vishnu forms that Ekavira Prabhu was giving us a glimpse of the Vishnu forms of the Lord and their activities and their roles. So for the young people on the call, I wanted to share, why is it important to understand Krishna? Why is this important? This is a point that's being made in this purport by the writer, I guess, Hridayananda, the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. And they make this very important point that where is that? If the Lord, so I'm sorry, I don't see it right now, but anyway, the point is, why should we understand? Because it's complicated to understand Krishna. Actually, it's explained in our scriptures that is very difficult to understand Krishna. So here in the purport, it says, the living entity should try to understand that personality of Godhead who has given him or her so much facility for illusion. We have received so much facility from this part of Krishna, or this expansion of Krishna called Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, who when we start learning about him, we start realizing this is a powerful expansion, and this expansion is doing so much. I mean, just imagine that here he is, these different universes, like from him, that from out of this his navel comes Lord Brahma, and the blueprint for all of us already there. And then Lord Brahma, he expands on these blueprints, like, just to bring us into this environment that we're in right now. So practically speaking, why is it important to know this great personality? So these are some reasons for the young people in the class, because he plays a major role in our lives. He is major. He's a major personality, like our fathers and our mothers. They are major in our life, right? And so in the same way, this expansion of Krishna, called Garbhodakshay Vishnu. Garbhodakshay Vishnu. It sounds like a hard name, but really, if we break it down in syllables, some of you learn syllables in English. Garbhodakshay Vishnu. So he is doing this massive creation, right? He's bringing into this place where we live now, all of us, based on our, as Ekavir Prabhu said, our different desires. So he plays this major, major role. And it's important to understand it, because he's the origin of all of our existence. He's the beginning, right? From Krishna comes everything. And he is the source of all divine knowledge. All our knowledge comes from him, from the Lord. Krishna says he is the source of all knowledge and forgetfulness. He gives us remembrance. He gives us everything. And so, of course, all of this is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. He is very benevolent, right? He gives us shelter, even when we sometimes, especially the souls that don't want to know him. Those persons that are in this world that don't want to know Krishna, they don't have any interest to know Krishna. They don't understand how benevolent he is. They don't understand how he gives us shelter. They don't understand that he's our well-wisher. He wants the best for us. And that's also being explained in this chapter. He wants us to have a loving relationship with him. And that's why these children chant so beautifully the holy names of the Lord every morning, because they want to have this loving relationship with Krishna, and they understand that Krishna is his holy names. So they're developing that relationship. That's what Krishna wants from us. He wants to purify our minds so that we can get away from this material conditioning that's driven by ego, by our false ego. He's helping us to do that by creating this atmosphere where we can choose to forget him. We can make this choice, or we can choose to remember him. Remember, Krishna only has these two energies, material energy and spiritual energy. And we are always making a choice. We can either choose him spiritually when we chant, like the young children do every morning, or we can forget him when we start doing things just for ourselves. I, me, mine. When we start having this mentality, it's just about me. Everything is just about me. And we don't remember Krishna. We forget Krishna. And, Krishna is like our guide. He's in our hearts. He's sitting right here in our hearts to guide us when we get ready to go to him, to turn to him. He's like, okay, I'm here. Let me know. You're ready? Great. And then what happens? He sends us a representative. He sends us someone to help us, to teach us, to remind us, and especially remind us through his holy names, remind us through serving him. And of course, the most important thing why it's important to know Krishna is because he wants us to be with him back in the spiritual world. He don't really want us to be here in this material world. He really, 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 really wants us to be with him in the spiritual world. And so we as devotees, we're very fortunate because we get this opportunity by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada to learn about the spiritual world, right? So how do we understand Krishna? How do we understand this person that's so powerful, that's making all of this possible, all of this illusion that we see around us? He's making this possible just so we can remember who he is, just so we can know who he is. How do we do that? And so there's some simple processes that's given to us. One, is calling on the holy names of the Lord. That's how we remember. And another one that's really, really, really important is hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing about the Lord, glorifying the Lord. Krishna loves that more than anything. It's just like in grihastha life, in married life, sometimes we forget, like what are we doing? Sometimes we become familiar with each other. And sometimes we just have to sit and say, we are taking out 1 hour every week just to check in. What am I doing that's helpful? What am I doing that's not helpful? What am I doing that can be improved? What did I do? What have I been doing that's just not helping the relationship? And so just like we apply these things in our life so we can have better relationships, in the same way, we want to have this relationship with Krishna. So what is Krishna like? He likes us to glorify him. He likes us to talk about him with each other, to others. And he likes us to call his holy names. And so these are some of the important points that I was thinking in this verse that applies to all of us, that we want to always know who Krishna is, and to understand how Krishna, he's in the spiritual world, and he, just expands in order to make all these different arrangements for all the souls that are in all the different planetary systems, for all of these souls, not just us. Krishna is thinking of the heavenly planets and the lower planets, every planetary system. He's making arrangements. This is his love for us. And so when we make that decision, like the kids on this program, to just chant with such love and devotion, to come to the class and hear about the glories of the holy names, hear about this aspect of Krishna, Garbha, Daksha, and Vishnu, that actually that purifies our hearts, and then it brings us closer to Krishna, makes us develop this love for Krishna, because ultimately, that's all we want, is to love Krishna. I think I heard Madan Gopal one day give class, and his whole class was just based on love, just loving Krishna. But we need to know, who is this person that we want to love? That's so important. If somebody tells us we should love somebody, whoever that may be, we want to know, well, who's this person that I'm supposed to give my heart to? Who is this person that I'm supposed to serve? Who is this person I'm supposed to hear about? We want to know as much about him as possible. And so I'm closing here with one little pastime of Brenda, of being in Govardhan. When we were in India, we were there for almost 4 months. And good morning, Isaiah. Haribol. And so we were there for 4 months in Govardhan with Sachinanda Maharaj and with Burjan Prabhu, and then we were with Radhanath Swami and many, 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 many devotees. And one thing that happened to us that just really very clear, that Krishna is our only shelter. So we were on the we were coming back to America, and we were on the plane coming back, and we were 3 hours in the air, 3 hours flying, and the pilot made an announcement and said, "I'm sorry, we have to turn the airplane back to our original place where we started, because there is an airstrike going on." An airstrike meaning that the airspace was closed, because the planes, I learned, the planes, they have certain jurisdiction of how they fly and where they fly and whose country they're flying through. So this particular country had closed their airspace, and the plane couldn't go through their airspace. So we had to come back, and we are back in the airport, and the particular airline we traveled, they didn't make any arrangements for accommodations. Neither, it was just like, okay, you're stuck here back in the airport. There's nothing you can do, except making another arrangement. And they had canceled flights for a week. So we had a week that we had to figure out, what do we do? Do we change airlines? What do we do? And Ekavira Prabhu said, I know what we're going to do. Let's just go back to Govardhan which is where we originally started our trip. Let's go back to Govardhan. Let's just stay in Govardhan until until they figure it all out. And that experience gave me the realization it doesn't matter what's going on in our lives. Krishna is our only shelter because Krishna brought us back to Govardhan. And Krishna took care of us while we were in Govardhan until, material energy figured out everything about how we can fly, when we can fly. And so this is why it's important to know this person, because then this person for us was at that time was Govardhan, and we could make that decision. We're gonna go back to Govardhan. Krishna, please bring us back to Govardhan. We were willing to pay whatever we needed to pay to go back to Govardhan. And so we, in this world, it's important to have that kind of desire. I want to go back to the spiritual world with Krishna, because Krishna is waiting. Because when we went back to Govardhan, the devotees in Govardhan was so kind and so nice and so like, don't, just stay here, don't go. And that's what it's like when we get back to this this is the opportunity Krishna has given to us to get out of this. He's created this for us so we can, do whatever we want to do until we get to that place and time when we're like, this is just not working. There's got to be something else. And everyone comes to that consciousness at some point in time. This is just not working, because the only thing that can work is Krishna, because he's the origin of everything. And so thank you very much. And the last point in closing for Jamuna Jaya, Ananda Bihari spoke about her smile, and her smile is contagious. But hear where that smile comes from. I was thinking about that when he said that this morning. Krishna is also very beautiful, but when a devotee serves him and comes to him, he becomes even more beautiful. When a devotee with all that person's heart and soul serves Krishna and dresses him and gives him a flower, Krishna smiles. If you can get Krishna to smile upon you just once, your life's goal is fulfilled. So every time you look at Jamuna Jaya's smile, think about Krishna's smile. That's the smile that's calling and pulling us back to the spiritual world. Go to Hari Bol. Hare Krishna devotees, thank you very much.
Jamuna Jai is also getting paid for smiling, right? I'm just misunderstanding the whole thing.
Jamuna Jaya has a natural smile. It was painted on her face for everyone, just to remind them about Krishna's smile.
Yeah, we should put Jamuna Jai on Bhakti Center payroll.
Haribol Prabhus, thank you so much.
Thank you, Rajalila Kavira Prabhu's wonderful class as always. We feel sheltered by your example and by the wisdom that you're sharing and by the realization that you have. Thank you very much. You mentioned how we should stop every week for 1 hour. Is that right? And evaluate ourselves. Is journaling a good habit for a devotee?
I think it's individual. Ekavera can speak. I journal because I love to write what I read and hear and experience. Somehow or other, it connects with my brain and my heart both. So for me, I do journal, and I journal regularly. I different times I journal every day, and different times, whenever I am able. So when I was in Govardhan, I was able to journal every day because there was so many beautiful experiences. So yeah, I journal. That 1 hour though, and specifically I was sharing for the married people, husband and wife, take 1 hour to check in with each other once a week. Just check in. What did I not get right this week? What did I need to work on to get better? This is love, right? This is how we express love for each other, or care for each other. And so in the same way, if we're able to do that, then that gives us some idea or some inclination to be able to understand, like, Krishna, what can I do better? Krishna, I want to love you. How do I do that? So husband and wife, we're practice for each other, because we're in a material world. We don't get it right. Most of the time we don't get it right. And
I need an hour every hour.
Bhima Prabhu.
What did I do in that last hour that you need to tell me for an hour what I didn't do? The best
That's a
guru is
blessing. You
the
that's
best guru is someone who knows you better than yourself.
yeah, because you get to remind people about Krishna's illusory energy and how we're not to be about that, how to get
And you
away.
don't have to pull punches. If you're married to them, you're no longer pulling punches.
That's right.
You're telling them like it is. And if they don't like it, then they got you to deal with, you know.
But that's
So
one thing, Bhima Prabhu, you
yeah.
agree before. You agree before. Like I might say
I
something.
always concede the point. As right as I am, I could be 200% right, and I'll just concede the point for the sake of peace. Because you can't remember Krishna without being peaceful, right?
Yes,
I
absolutely.
mean, that's not true. You can be at war. I'm sure Bhima and Arjuna and Yudhisthira were mighty ticked off when they were on that field. There was a lot of non-peace going on, and yet Krishna was still on the chariot instructing everyone. So could you expand on that? How is it times of trouble, even personal, intimate times of trouble between you and your spouse, and how about the war within with ourselves? Oh,
After Darshan, Bhima Prabhu.
after Darshan, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Darshan time, please.
Haribol.
Day Bhagavan ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanated from his lotus feet. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates, and by him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor and the Lord and master of the devotees. Oh, master, you have shown us. It was to say that your lotus feet. May your friends become all over the trees. To take shelter for lotus feet. Prabhupada ki jai.
Temple Room Ki Jai. Maya Devi Ki Jai. We created Maya. Okay. Ekavira Rajalila Prabhu's back to you. Bhima Prabhu, could you say your question again, maybe in one sentence, so people with limited IQ could understand too?
Yeah, isn't it amazing? People with limited IQ like me ramble onward, and people with limited IQ can't follow the path of rambling. It's amazing. We're just stuck in this world of talking to ourselves. And he was speaking about talking to ourselves. That's what journaling is and introspection is. And to thine own self be true. Therefore, you can be false to no one else. I just want, is Ekachak, are they both there?
Yeah. They're one.
Vrajalila. So the thing is that the idea of journaling is much greater of a practice, because ultimately, if we don't have self-reflection, and of course, writing it down is great, just like if you have a lot of things to do in a day, you write them down, a list. So similarly, if you list off when you're self-reflecting, what's the temptations that's pulling me downward? What was the results of me really leaning heavy into chanting? What are the results? So we take time to remember, and then of course Krishna, being remembrance itself, brings in he carries what we lack. He carries what we lack there. So would you say that Vrajalila and Ekavira, would you say that we should probably always be in a state of self-reflection, not so much self-absorption, but just like, if this is truly, as Madan Gopal said the other day, this is a school. It's like a school of love. I think you mentioned that. He just gave a class the other day where he was speaking about this life as a school of love. Like, you'll never learn what it is to unconditionally love as Krishna loves us until you go through all these things, until the conditions come at you and you respond with love rather than, I mean, Adi the other day got clocked with with a fire extinguisher up the side of the head, by a guy who broke into our hostel. And, he was a crazy man. He had busted out front windows of things. And then the news interviewed him, and all Adi could talk about is these poor people who have fallen through the cracks. They're crazy. They really need help, And even though Adi, had a welt on the side of his head, from this guy, all he had was forgiveness and love. I would have done my best to see him go down those stairs like a slinky, So my question is the self. Here I am. I'm rambling. The low IQ. There it is, revealed. Anyways, just answer. If you can find a question in there, please talk to it. Hare Krishna.
Hey, but you are funny. Well, I mean, you started on the point of journaling and the actual benefit of self-reflection using journaling as a tool. I didn't appreciate journaling so much for many years, um, even though someone in our lives was a perfect example of this process. And then a few years ago, I started journaling. And then I realized the benefit of journaling. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj used to journal every day. That was one thing that he never missed a day, which he actually didn't journal. And in his case, he would build into his journaling process a letter to Srila Prabhupada. So he wrote a letter to Srila Prabhupada each and every day. And this helped him to go deeper in his relationship with Srila Prabhupada and and hold himself accountable to how he was reciprocating with Srila Prabhupada and the love and affection that his beloved Guru Maharaj extended to him. And so therefore the journaling process helps us to one, reflect on, how we are actually navigating through the material energy, how we are also being, as you said, true to ourselves in our Krishna conscious unfoldment, and how we are reciprocating with the grace and mercy that the Supreme Lord has given us through it, just like in this verse is expressing so much facility, so much grace, so much to be, and reflecting again on the thing that Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj reflected on every day, and that was gratitude. How to be grateful for the situation on a daily basis, even to the extent of when he was going through the cancer treatments, and he was, such a mover and shaker, and he was always on the go. And in this particular case, he could no longer actually go into other parts of the world and speak and try to uplift and encourage devotees. So he had to do it in another way. And so even in that state and experiencing pain, he experienced pain but not suffering, because he was grateful that he was in that situation. And so much so, and this point, that at one point in time, he was really going through pain. His leg was shaking. He couldn't sleep because his leg would keep him awake at night. He was having difficulty, with his motor skills and actually chanting on Japamala, and that was creating some anxiety for him because he loved to chant and loved to chant on Mala. And even though those things were going on, he was saying to Rananath Maharaj, I wouldn't trade my position with anyone in the world. I wouldn't change it, because in this situation, from what I'm experiencing, I'm actually experiencing the loving reciprocation of the Supreme Lord and loving reciprocation of Srila Prabhupada in this current state. And I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world or with anyone in the world. So.
Thank you, Akaviri. Thank you. That's why in this illusory world, there's so much to be grateful for. Krishna comes in our hearts here. It's here as Kishore Daksha Vishnu. Krishna creates all this for us. So just so we can remember him. So there's a lot to be grateful for.
Thank you.
Leela Devidasi, she's in part of the Bhaktivedanta. I bet you. Do you journal, Prabhujini?
Journal?
Hare Krishna. I do actually. It's I've started. I didn't always, but I've started to take it very seriously, writing down my understandings of verses, the verses themselves, the Sanskrit questions, dramas. It's been very helpful actually. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that story, Ekavira Prabhu. I really appreciated that.
Thank you. It's good to see you, Leela. It's been a long time.
We miss you so much, so
I
much.
miss
There's
you
no
guys too.
words that can express how much we miss you. We got to come
Oh,
to England just to be with
please
you.
do. Everyone, I think the whole Bhakti Center Bhagavatam morning class should take a trip to England. Um, since I'm here, I
Bloody
said, okay,
hell.
I just want to make a comment on what you were speaking today. I really appreciated the practicality of checking in with, especially in Grihasta, but I think that then can be applied to anyone, family, friends, coworkers. But also what you very strongly mentioned based on what was in the purport about if Krishna gives facility for us to be in this situation, imagine the facility that he can give for us to get out. And I really always need that reminder because I was contemplating that perhaps the state of the world and my own consciousness, I don't expect that goodness, especially just because someone loves you. You're always waiting for, okay, what's the catch? Maybe he doesn't really want me to be happy. And then also the Christian conception of God that he wants us to suffer and, he's a jealous God and all of these things sometimes stay in the mind. And so to be reminded that, yeah, the service is meant to be joyful and he wants us to be happy, not wanting us to suffer. And then we can become, I guess, intelligent enough that no matter what is happening, you say, okay, what is the opportunity for me to get closer here? And then this is a gift because it's bringing me closer. But I always need that reminder because I'm just like, like an animal, like, okay, where's the next catastrophe happening? But to be reminded that he's loving and then sending out all the love through Bhagavatam, through the devotees, through all the circumstances is really necessary to be told again and again. I
Yeah.
really appreciated that. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Leela. Yeah, all these situations are definitely opportunities for us, because we can choose, right? We can always choose. I can get into the dramas and the nonsense of the what's going on in the material world, or I can choose, to be more engaged in devotional service, more engaged in association with the devotees, more engaged in hearing pastimes, hearing about the Lord. It's a daily choice, It's like Bhima said in one set. He's speaking about the relationships we have here in the world. In a way, every moment of the day is a choice. Every moment of the day, and Krishna is so kind that he's here in our hearts, and he's saying, okay, this moment, what are you going to choose? This moment, what are you going to? And yeah, so it's just so beautiful. Yeah, thank you, Leela, for bringing that point. I'm anxiously waiting for your class. It's coming up soon. Haribo.
Thank you very much. Would anyone like to ask a question? No? Okay. Yeah, I was going through my
That was
journal.
Ram.
What's that?
Does
Yeah.
Ram journal?
Yeah.
Does he
I'm
self-reflect?
journaling like anything. I was going through my journal for last year, and most of the stuff that's there, it's Krishna, help me with this one, and then I'll surrender for real. Like, Krishna, please, just with this one. That's 99% of my journal. Krishna.
I'm
Dare to
like,
be a
yeah, here's my pile of lack, Krishna. Could you please carry for me? It's huge.
there's a terminology, dare to be ourselves, because there's a uniqueness about each and every one of us. And your uniqueness, my dear Ananda Bihari Prabhu, is your transparency, your vulnerability, and your openness for all of us. That's a gift.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very
Yeah.
much for tolerating us.
You're an instrument of Radha Muralidhar in extending their personalness to all of us. Their warmth.
For sure. And Prabhu, we got so rejuvenated from being with your spiritual master for a month. We were with him more than a month. More than a month. It was wow. Amazing.
ecstatic. Any special takeaways you'd like to share from your association with him?
Okay, you want to go first? Okay, my special takeaway is Satchidananda Maharaj is one of the most real, genuine, caring, loving, compassionate person anyone can ever meet in this lifetime. Anyone, because he cares about everyone, he makes himself available for everyone. It was so joyful for my soul to be in an environment where there was no sectarianism of any sort. That was so beautiful. It was nothing about this one is from this sampradaya, or that thing, or this, all the different drama stuff we deal with. He is so aloof from all of that because he wants to encourage every soul. So actually, there's these two disciples of Satchidananda Maharaj that runs the Govardhan Center, and they're Brichibasis. They are from, they're from Nandagram. And when we were stuck in the airport, not knowing where to go, what to do, and we called, they said, come, just come, just come. That's how they're preachy bosses, you know what I mean? They're not like devotees from the West or from, wherever, whatever. They're like actual preachy bosses. But Satchidananda Maharaj has given them such a taste of appreciating devotees from everywhere. And that has helped them. I'm sure they have that already, but he's nurtured that, So he nurtures our taste to see every soul as just spark of Krishna, every soul, and see Krishna in each soul. It's just beautiful. That was my takeaway. Hey, Kabir?
And my takeaway, I guess, how could I put this? Being in the Association of Maharaj is an experience of experiencing ever freshness, and even though he has the gravity of, a sadhu and spiritual guide, he has a simplicity and warmth of a childlike nature, which is so attractive. A youthful nature, not childlike, youthful nature. And because of that combination, the gravity and the youthful nature, everybody comes and everybody wants to have association, especially youth, especially youth. And so I was just observing, how more and more of the younger devotees, they just want to be there and they want to chant the holy names. And I know Maharaj, we expressed to him our appreciation of what he gives. And, he said, I do one thing, and that's one thing and one thing only. I concentrate on that one thing. I don't try to do so many different things. And one thing is trying to encourage devotees to chant the holy name.
He said something that was really important last time we were together. He said, most of the devotees the longer a person practices Krishna consciousness, he said, I'm quoting him, the longer a person practices Krishna consciousness, I have come to see that they don't chant Hare Krishna. Can you imagine? I was like, whoa, the longer that we're trying to do this practice, somehow or other, we don't connect with the holy names, for whatever the reasons are. So that's why he's so vigilant in a sweet way to help us to connect with the holy names.
So I encourage all the devotees, when you're going on the what is it, class trip to England, see Leela, continue on after having darshan there in England, go on to Govardhan with Satchidananda Maharaj and Burijan Prabhu and Jagatarini Mataji. Yeah.
Yeah. Hari Hari. Take time, devotees, to be alone with Krishna. Take time. Be alone with Krishna, whether through his holy name, whether caring about him. However we do that, however we choose to do that, take an hour and be alone with Krishna.
Thank you very much, Ekavira and Rajalila Prabhus.
Ananda is alone with Rama. That's just as good, isn't it? Rama, Krishna.
Yeah.
Okay, who's chanting to today?
Isaiah and Annabelle and Sage and Sky. But before they chant, Isaiah Prabhu, can you say Garbhada Kashaya Vishnu, please?
That's how I say it.
That's good. You got 4 syllables.
Okay, Annabelle, can you say Garbhada Kashaya Vishnu?
5 syllables. 5.
Adpatakshay Vishnu.
Whoa.
Okay, Sage, can you say Garbhada Kashaya Vishnu?
Krishna. Good. Trying.
Yay.
And Sky, please. Garbhada Kashaya Vishnu, Sky.
Say Garba. Garba. Diksha. Diksha. Vaya. Vaya. Vishnu. Vishnu.
Vivo.
Sweet. Thank you very much. Okay. Dear devotees, please chant Hare Krishna. Isaiah, Annabelle, Sage, Sky, please loudly, enthusiastically, sincerely.
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Bye.
Thank you
Hari
very
Hari
much.
Bol.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sage, Sky, Isaiah, and Annabelle ki jai. Hare Krishna, we love you. We need you. Ekavira Prabhu, Rajalila Devidasi, thank you so much. You are the best. Thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for today, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Sadhvi, for being here. We appreciate you so much. We love your questions, Hari Bol.
Leela, you have enough sleeping bags for us? Or tents? I want to be in the same tent with Bhima.
Get away from me, Prabhu. Just get away from me. And close the zipper. Sleep out on the lawn.
Okay.
Hari Bol Ram, can we see you, Ram? Hari Bol, Hare Krishna Ram.
I
Hari
had to give him
Hari. Wow, you look
flowers.
like you're doing some work, serious work there. Wow, your father training you up early.
I have to give him something to keep him quiet. That's what
Yes,
he does to us, right?
that's an amazing thing to have, to be quiet.
Put a little boxing glove on that little paw of his and let him just whack you upside the head over and over.
That's good. Great idea.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Hari
Thank
Bol.
you. Thank you very
Hare
much.